Hi guys and welcome back. So we've got some more mods on the S4 today. So we're going to start off with the exhaust, and then later on I've got a flat bottom to put in the car and a few other little bits along the way. So last time we modified the exhaust on the car, we put two resonators in at the front and it's massively wiped out the draining, but we still got a little bit of an issue. So if we look at the alignment on the exhaust now, it just isn't sitting quite right, and I think that's because last time one of the brackets broke off, and when I put everything back together, doing my best to try and fix it, it just doesn't align quite right. So my thinking is if we put another resonator in it closer to the rear, that will try and take some of the tension out of it, and it mean that we can align each exhaust individually. So we should hopefully kill two birds with one stone, or two birds with one resonator. So if you do want to take a look at what we did last time, there's a link up in the top right. So let's get started by jacking it up, taking a few measurements and seeing if there's anything we can do about it, or if it's just going to be one of those things that I'm going to have to live with. So after I've had a look at it, it looks like I can't actually fit a resonator in the back like I thought I could, because the resonator that I did have in mind, smallest size they do, is about 11 inches the actual box, and then it's 17 inches all along. So judging by that and the way that the bends are, there's no chance I could fit it in there. I think the only other way around it would be taking it to a proper exhaust place to try and fit one in, or getting a new system. But for now, I think I can live with it. So we're going to leave that for now. We're going to get started fitting the flat bottom steering wheel, which is probably well overdue. Right, so here's the flat bottom steering wheel I've got for it, and it's actually out of a TTS, as you can probably tell by that badge on it. So I'm pretty sure the Audi R8s have exactly the same as well, and I'm not entirely sure if it's going to bolt straight in, or we might need to mess around with some wiring or something like that, but we're going to give it a go and hopefully it should fit alright. And it was only £150 as well, so to me it just made so much more sense than the ones that are for the newer B8, so the B8.5, and they're about £400, and I think this looks better as well. So we're going to get started by disconnecting the battery, and then I've got a couple other bits to go on while waiting for it to discharge. And I've got to say thank you all so much for being here. We've not long ticked over 2,000 subs, which is something that I didn't ever think would happen, but here we are, and I can honestly say I hope it only gets a bit more interesting from here on out. So if you haven't already, make sure you have tapped down below and hit subscribe, because you see a lot of people haven't actually subscribed, so just make sure that you are if you want to see what I'm doing with this and any upcoming projects. Okay, so whilst I'm waiting for that battery, I've got a couple of other bits I want to do. So one of them is get these badges on, so I'm going to try and put them somewhere like that, and I think they'll look about right. And to get them in the right spot, I've got some tape, so I'm going to put some tape along the top and down there, do it on each side, and they should be roughly equal anyway, because I don't want to put it too far up like that. Okay, so another thing that I want to do is I'm thinking about painting both these engine covers in red to match the brakes, because I've got some leftover paint and it's pretty easy to just pull straight off. So get them off and we'll paint them. So we'll start off by masking them all off, putting some plastic primer on, regular primer, some silver to try and give it a candy effect, followed by the actual colour of red, and then some lacquer. Now we just need to let them dry, and we're going to change out the old and dated steering wheel. Right, so I've left it for about half an hour now. What I can do is remove the airbag. So what I'm going to do is undo the two T30 bolts on the back of it. There's one each side, undo them, and then we can pull the airbag off. So on this new airbag, as you can see, there's like a little bit of plastic just a line down here that I need to trim off, because if we look at this one, it looks near enough identical, apart from down here it's not got that little bit of plastic. So another thing is this new one is like a dual stage airbag, and the one that's just come off it is a single stage, so I think that means it's got two detonations in it, and that one's got one detonation in it, but they should both still work, but I'm not sure if it's going to cause us any issues, but we'll have to find out. But apart from that, like I say, just trim that connector down a little bit and then it should hopefully plug in. Okay, so now that's done, let's try and plug it in. Right, so I've tried to plug it in, and if you look at these square tabs on the new one, they're slightly higher up than on the old one. So looking at this old airbag, you can see they're slightly lower down, and that's probably why it's not plugging in. So I'm going to trim them down on that, and then we should be okay. So that fits up okay, that's one thing out of the way. So now I just need to undo the M10 in the middle, and then we should have a nice little flat bottom on it, and I'll probably also swap that over too. Right, my bad, it's actually an M12. sick, doesn't it? I'm absolutely stoked with that. That looks so much better. I know we still need to swap the badge over, give it a clean, but before I do that, I'm going to test it and see if it all works. I'm going to put the battery cable back on, we'll plug it in, and hopefully this should work. So good news, the airbag's not gone off and the airbag light's not on, so we're all okay there. But the problem we have is that these steering wheel controls aren't working by the looks of it. So I'll catch up with you in about a second when I figured out what's going on and why these aren't working. Okay, so we're back. I've done a bit of digging, I've done some research, and what I've actually found out, one of the forums, is what we need to do is we need to rewire some of the pins in here for the steering wheel controls. So I've popped the back of the connector off on the old airbag to try and figure out what all the wires do and where they're going. And unfortunately, because they're all black, it's quite hard to try and figure out where they're actually meant to go. So if we look at the old steering wheel as well, there are 3 connections on here. So what we could do is we could trace those 3 back off there, through here and into the pin out. Then what we need to do is look at the wiring diagram for each car and check which pin outs go to what on the steering wheel controls, and then we could swap them over that way. Thankfully though, someone else has already done it on one of the forums, and they've literally just listed all of the pin outs and what we need to swap over. So a massive shout out to you, that's massively helped me. It saves me going through all of the hassle of tracing these back and looking through all of the wiring diagrams. Right, so what I need to do now is repin all of these and put them in the right spot. So I started off by removing the yellow cap on the back of the connector to remove all of the wires. Then I had to remove a purple pin which held the cables into the connector so that I could pull them out. Now that was out, I could get into the wiring, so I had to remove pin 1, 2 and 10 and swap them over. And off the top of my head, pin 1 went into 7 and pin 2 went into 8 and 10 had to go back into 1. Now they were done, I just need to put it all back together and hope for the best. Okay, now we've done that, that should be ready to go, and hopefully all steering wheel controls and it should work. But before I do that, I'm going to swap the badge and I'm going to add my own little touch to it. So I started off by removing the trim and the controls to give everything a well needed clean. After everything was cleaned up, I took a little bit of the plastic off the bottom of the steering wheel controls with wrapping carbon because I had a little bit left over and I thought I'd make good use of it. Once I've wrapped a little bit of plastic in the bottom, I swapped the badges over and put everything else back together. Even though it looked great, I didn't stop there. I gave the interior a quick clean and it looked even better. And I even went into the detail of touching up the red bit on the S4 badge with a touch-up pen. Now that was all done, I put the engine covers back on. And with that done, it's time to check the steering wheel controls. Okay then, time for the moment of truth. Let's hope all of that wiring has worked. Right, so this all looks like it's working okay. Volume goes up, volume goes down. Mode works, all of this, all sorted. It looks like we have a flat bottom steering wheel fully working in the S4. That looks so good to me. I love the flat bottom steering wheel in here, and I love the red on the engine covers, and that moves me on to what we'll be doing next time. So next time, what we'll actually be doing is doing some modifications to the engine and trying to get a bit more power out of this car. Stuff, you know, like supercharger wise, power wise, and aiming to try and get somewhere near 500 brakes, what I'm hoping for. So I'm not sure how far we can actually push it with the clutch in it, but I've got some bits to go on and I can't wait to get around to doing this. So of course, make sure you watch the next video, and if you haven't already, tap down below, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you then. So thanks for watching, and of course I'll catch you next video. See you in a bit.